Morning, honorable members. Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning, Chair.
Morning, Chair.
It has just gone 8 o'clock. I want us to start. Just want to get an indication. Firstly, Mr. Procedural Officer, do we have the Auditor General as well as the Audit Committee in?
Chairperson, the Auditor General is in, Chairperson. I'm just looking, I don't see the Audit Committee Chairperson.
Okay.
I'll just call in the Auditor General the Audit Committee Chairperson. Thank you.
Okay, so I think in any case, then let us start. Those that are not here, they are going to catch with us on the way. Let me make use of these opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome you to the Standing Committee on Public Account. It is a virtual meeting and it's held in terms of the rules of order of the standing committees of the provincial legislature, as well as the rules that are governing virtual meetings of the legislature to apply to this meeting. Let me make use of this opportunity also to welcome the Auditor General together with the Audit Committee. The purpose of this COPA meeting is to look at the annual report of the Department of Agriculture together with its entity, which is CASIDRA. Now, before I may continue, Procedural Officer, are there any apologies that we have received from your side?
So, Chairperson, for this meeting, there was no apologies, Chairperson. Sorry, there might be Member Bartman might not be in this meeting, and she requested Honorable van der Westhuizen to be in the meeting, Chair.
Excellent.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Chair.
Morning, Mr. Roda. I think then with all that, then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hand over to the Auditor General to take us through to the audit report of the department, as well as the audit report of the entity, which is CASIDRA. Over to you, Auditor General.
Good morning, Chairperson and members. It's again a privilege for us to present the audit outcomes of the report.
question. My hand. But it's fine. In the next session, I will raise that issue. And you must just allow me.
Okay. Honorable Mare, is that an old hand or is it a...
I want you to withdraw old hand. I'm 77, but my hand is still very young. But okay, you don't have to withdraw, sir. It is a previous hand. Thank you.
Okay, I know I must say it's a previous hand and not say it's an old hand. Is the HOD in?
Chair, good morning, and to the members. Yes, the HOD is in. Thank you very much.
Okay, is the minister in?
Chairperson, I'm not seeing the minister in. I'm trying to call. Okay, the department is calling me quickly. I'll just pick up this call, Chair.
Chair, I'm in the meeting. Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, there is the minister. Okay. Honorable members, we are going to start now our second our session, where we are going to be having our standing committee on public accounts for purposes of looking at the annual report of the Department of Agriculture together with its entity, which is CASIDRA. This meeting is an open meeting. It is open to the public. It is open to the media. It is also streamed live to various other types of media platform. Now, the way we are going to do it, we will allow the department to make its presentation or to make its remarks, and thereafter I will give an opportunity to members of the committee and members of the legislature that are in attendance to pose questions, a point of clarity, or engage with the report. When we finish, I'm going to allow the members of the public or members of the media, if there are any, to ask questions. And thereafter, we will close the meeting and then meet again as a committee for purposes of adopting resolutions. Now, HOD or Minister, is there any remarks that you'd like to make?
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to the members of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. Thank you for this opportunity. My department and we are ready to present the report to the Standing Committee. We have some logistical issues that we just would like to bring under the attention of the committee and the Chair. We are running multiple committee meetings today. In fact, there's also, I just logged out of another meeting. We also have a cabinet meeting today, and one of the key issues on this meeting, we also have to discuss some of these vaccine issues and the relations of both the HOD and myself. We need to report back also to some other meetings. So I would very much like that I be excused around about 9:30. My HOD will also have to be excused around about 10, but my full department will be able to respond to many of these questions. And if need, we would be happy to come back to the committee at any future time, or we will see if we finish earlier, we will revert back to the committee. So, Chair, thank you very much for that, and we are happy to present the report to the Standing Committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. HOD, are there any remarks that you'd like to make or any issues you would like to say?
Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity given us to account. We are set to do so. But maybe three things to say that the year under review was actually a very good year for the agricultural sector. We've seen some recovery. Members should also know that we had a bumper harvest, in the wheat industry and citrus, and in general the horticultural sector. That is what we've seen, and also that agriculture was by far the only sector that registered positive growth over this time. But thirdly, Chair, which is the last thing really is for us, that we've now entered the economic recovery mode, and we think certainly that agriculture will be playing much bigger role in that recovery. And we are committed to the 3 priority areas of the Western Cape, be it jobs, safety and well-being. And that is the work that we're focusing on. But other than that, Chair, we are ready to account. Thank you again for the opportunity given us.
No, okay, thank you very much, HOD. Thank you very much to Minister as well. We've taken note of the logistical challenges you've indicated that you might have to leave, although we'll have preferred that always that if people come to the meeting, maybe if they may sit until the end of the meeting, but then if there are other pressing needs that we will have to attend to, we will understand. Thank you very much. Now, honorable members, if there are any, there is the report of the department. As I would like to indicate that then what we'll do, we will deal with both reports at the same time. In other words, if you've got questions or point of clarity, points you want to engage on the department and CASIDRA will deal, we can ask questions on both reports. And then so that we don't deal with one report first and the other one, which might actually make us to encounter time problems. Now, the report that we are going to deal with will first deal with part C of both reports of the agriculture and the CASIDRA. Report section C of the annual report of the Department of Agriculture is starting from 160 until 178, and of CASIDRA is starting on page 38 until page 49. Can I get an indication of members who would like to ask question or want to ask point of clarity on the matter? Part C of the report. I see Honorable Nkondlo. Okay. Honorable Maseko. Can we start in that Honorable Maran? Can we go in that order, honorable members?
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to the Minister. Good morning to the HOD and the team, and compliments of the new season and all the blessings to them and their families for 2021. Chair, I think on part C, I only have, I think, about 2 questions for the department and one for CASIDRA. I just want on the department on page, I think is 164 actually in my ebook on the fraud and corruption. If we can just get details about this case, the cases that are recorded there. I think the 3 cases I can see the others. The other 3 has been closed. There's a case that was open on the 1st of April 2019, which is 2 cases on allegations of corruption and 1 fraud. Can you just give us more information and where is the situation of these cases, and how has the department therefore improved its policies and control systems to sort of avoid such in the department? The second one, Chair, is on the last section of the report, of this section C, which is on the BBBE. I see in all the 5 areas of measure where the question is about the application of the codes, that the department has answered no in all of them. I see the response that actually has been a response of almost all the departments that we have seen making reference to the treasury regulations of the province and all of that. Just want to understand, does this mean that the department in this instance, based on their nose, that they have taken a decision and are not applying the BBBE codes in as far as this particular requirement is concerned? Is that what it means with all the no's that they are answering there? And then going to CASIDRA, Chair, I think for me, with CASIDRA, I've got, sorry, there's just one question, which I think is a question that has always, I know I've raised it when I had an opportunity to engage with this team, is the issue of representativity, in particular gender credentials of the board or profile of the board. And that continues to be a sore point, and I think it's actually the third my engagement on this committee. This matter has not necessarily, changed. And I'm interested to know if the board of CASIDRA, including the department, is concerned about this, and what is it that is being done, to rectify this particular situation. And also just to understand, is CASIDRA, because I see when I was looking at the other entities that we've seen to date with the departments that have came here since Monday, the same template is used on reporting on the BBBE, but I see that CASIDRA has decided to report differently. They just mentioned that they've got a particular BE score. Why is that, if I may ask? Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm sorry about that. I think Member Gondla has already covered me with the question of the fraud cases that are there, the cases that are there. But I just want to find out if it has to do with the corruption. Is there the debt certificate that get issued to the concerned person that did that corruption, or if that is not the case, and I do understand that the police get involved, but recovery of the finance, if that is the case, there is a loss to that, it's not going to happen usually if it's with the police. Is there another what can I say? It's another method of the department that they implement to make sure they recover the loss in that circumstances. And another one, it will be, just a second, to ask if the department, maybe Minister can answer this one, because I asked the Auditor General, but I want to hear from the Minister. If there wasn't a case of that is on the appeal with the Auditor General, would the department have received a clean or an unqualified audit outcome? That's all from me, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Maseko. Honorable Maran.
Thanks, Chairperson. Chairperson, I actually got 2 questions for the department. But remember, Chair, I've said to you that you have missed my hand yes. During the first session. You have missed my hand. Because, Chair, on the issue of the court case in CASIDRA, and as a standing committee, and I can remember when we have visited the Southern Cape, Amalienstein in Vaikra, and where CASIDRA have done the presentation, we have asked them for, Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
We have asked them for information regarding the payments made to CASIDRA, and the response by CASIDRA at that time was that they cannot give us third-party information. Although this money that the department is paying over to CASIDRA is public money. That was basically their response. So I'm just in passing making that remark that I hope that this court case can go to can come to an end so that we know how to proceed there onwards. Chair, on page 61, key strategic risks considered and addressed during the year. Chair, the department is saying that the department has limited influence over risk. Some of the mitigation actions are within various national mandates, such as the Department of Water and Sanitation, and then the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development. Chair, but if you look, Chair, at, for example, bullet 2, pressure on agricultural productive land for alternate developments, then it seems that the department is saying, but they are not basically responsible for land distribution or land acquisition, Chair. But if you can remember, Chair, previously there was these LRED schemes, and where people could have acquired land through the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. And in most cases, or in some cases, those activities, Chair, went bankrupt, and but the land is still available. Now, if the department is saying they are looking for productive land, there is some of those lands, and if the department don't know where those lands is, we can go and show them. We know that it's not their responsibility when it comes to land reform, it's a national responsibility. But within this province, there is productive agricultural land, Chair, and the only thing that needs to happen is to assist those black farmers and to make those lands productive again. Again, I'm saying if the department don't know where those land is, we can go and show them where those land is. That's the one. The second one, Chair, and I've just read something that's been issued by the Premier about BBBE and a resolution that was taken by his party in September last year, and then the current year and the review. Chair, page 168, broad black economic empowerment, and they are saying the department is saying, when the question is asked whether the issue on BBBE and the compliance therefore, whether it is resolved, and the answer is no. Then one would like to ask the question then, in the light of a decision that was taken in September, that's not the year under review now, then it seems, Chair, that, and also the remarks and the instruction issued by the MEC not so long ago to CASIDRA, then it seems that long before September, and even under the current financial year, that BBBE was not considered. It's not considered. It's long before a resolution was taken by the party, and obviously it will become the government party within the policy within the Western Cape. I think soon, rather soon than later. Now, if that's the case, Chair, then we were the ones to ask why. Was it the case that BBBE was not considered? Thanks. Chair, I'm finished.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Ma. Can I get a response? Is it going to be the HOD or the Minister?
Firstly, thank you, Chair, and thank you to the members for the question. The HOD will certainly answer some of these additional questions. Some of it was certainly some comments. The questions from Honourable Member Maseko in terms of the issue that's currently before the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein between the Western Cape Department of Agriculture and the Auditor General. We respect the rule of law. We respect the outcome of that investigation. As I have mentioned before the Standing Committee on Agriculture and Environmental Affairs, the view of this government is that we respect the outcome of that court case. We will respect it. We believe we are right, but in the constitutional context, we believe that the principle of governance is predictability. Currently, there is no predictability in the current governance arrangements, and I think both for the Auditor General and for the Western Cape government, but broader for South Africa, we can get an outcome that will give us predictability. And this is not a case where the Auditor General is losing or the Auditor General is winning. It is equally not a case of the Western Cape losing or the Western Cape winning. Either way, I think it will be in the best interest of South Africa if we have clarity from the Supreme Court of Appeal so that we have predictability in the national financial governance architecture, because it has wider implications than just simply the Western Cape. And so this case is of that significance. Honorable Member Maseko asked if that case was not an impediment, and if that case was out of the way, would the Western Cape Department of Agriculture have received, as it has been the case in the last 6 years, received a clean audit? I think the only people that can judge on the outcome of audits is the Supreme Auditing Authority in South Africa, and that's the Auditor General. I'm, however, confident that that will be the case, but I think I will respect the integrity of the Office of the Auditor General to make such pronouncements. Honourable Member Maran raised, Chair, the issue of the risk, and I now just want to turn to the page where he discussed the issues of the risks. And we quote page 162, paragraph Roman 4, that indicates the key risks considered and addressed during the year under review. And it reads, the following are key strategic risks for the department that were reviewed on a quarterly basis, including assessing the mitigations in place. Honourable Member Maran did refer to issues of water and so on, but I think Honourable Member Maran's specific focus was on the second bullet point, as he pointed out, namely, and this is what was assessed, the pressure on agricultural productive land for alternative developments. Now, I think Honourable Member Maran, happy to confess that he's more seasoned in agriculture than myself, and he would also know that when land is rezoned from agricultural purposes to, for example, any other purpose, for example, housing development or some of these estates development or any other purpose, by law, the Department of Agriculture in the Western Cape is required to also make some comments about the utilization of those land, because we do see that there's quite a lot of land pressures, particularly from both different angles, some for construction, some for lifestyle developments. And when those productive agricultural land is under pressure for alternative developments, we have to consider and weigh it up against the agricultural stability, the agricultural food value chain, the food security, and have to make some comments. When you have agricultural land that was, let's say, traditionally earmarked or zoned for agricultural purposes, but are no longer viable agricultural land, those certain comments will be made by the department and through the technical divisions. But I think it deals also with the second issue. There's always pressure on the availability of domestic food and so on. But the department can give some further developments. I note also the point that Honourable Member Maran made, that if we don't know about productive land, he's quite willing to show us that land. We'll take up that offer. But we all have to protect agricultural land, specifically given where we are now, and the point that the HOD made is quite telling, that in the year 2020, we have seen that all the sectors of the economy in South Africa had negative economic growth in the first and in the second quarter, and we have seen the only sector that had positive economic growth was agriculture. In the first quarter of 2020, we have seen a 28% growth, and in the second quarter around 15%. And we have also seen massive growth in the agricultural export. So I think from that perspective, we need to protect agricultural land. And given where we are now in South Africa, with the economic recovery and the development of agricultural master plan, I think all of us have a moral obligation and a responsibility to see the extent to which we can protect productive land. But I certainly will take up the offer from Honourable Member Maran, and is also welcome to engage directly with my department. Also, the issues and those tables, I think the HOD, and we did discuss this, and our CFO, because we did discuss what does those SCOPA resolutions and these other resolutions from the Standing Committee means in that column. So the HOD will reply to that. I think the issues that relate in terms of BBBEE, I noted that this was discussed yesterday in the Standing Committee of Public Accounts, and that the Premiers and I have the same response, that my party, the Democratic Alliance, the official opposition in South Africa, the ruling party here in the Western Cape, made it absolutely clear that we must not use race as a proxy. But this does not mean that we do not believe in redress the historical imbalances of the past. And so we have agreed that as a policy perspective from the Democratic Alliance, that it is possible to use economic redress as a fundamental principle of the Democratic Alliance, but you don't need to have race as that proxy. If you look at the historical injustices of the past, you can do redress and benefit the majority of the people, and we know who these people are, that were historically found themselves in the injustices of the past. And so my party adopted the principle of redress as fundamental part of our economic inclusion policy. The question, therefore, in terms of the BBBEE, is something from what is currently before us in the report, is something that I think has a slightly different dimension, and the CFO will be able to answer that. I am happy, Chair, to bring a full discussion to the Standing Committee on Agriculture, to have a full discussion on a political debate, since there is clearly differences of a political opinion on the issue of BBBEE. But I think, since that falls outside the immediate scope of the discussion here, except for the reference in the report, that I agree. But I think we can rather refer this for full-scale political debate. I'm happy to account in detail to the Standing Committee on Agriculture on those other related issues that dealt with a resolution that was taken at the party conference. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. HOD.
Chair, thank you very much. I think Minister has responded to the land pressure that Honorable Maran raised. I think the point to raise in there is the fact that we've got a responsibility to protect agricultural land, and that is key. But I'm going to ask my CFO to respond to questions that Honorable Conrad raised, which Minister responded partly to that. But the question around fraud and corruption and the number of cases, I'm going to ask my CFO to respond to that. Chair, thank you very much.
Chair, good morning, and to the members, good morning as well. And thank you for the questions. On page 164, we've got a question on the caseload and information. I can just say, yes, there were 3 cases. We started off with 2 and added 1, and then all 3 were completed. They were all done by the Provincial Forensic Services, so they were all referred to the PFS, and they were then completed there. Of the 3 cases, there was just 1, and that was a case number 0074, and that was electricity fraud. Now, we sell electricity to some of the hamlets that we have here, like Valdrai. And there was fraud there, and it was found to be real. However was always a new one for me. Is also a new one for me as well. The person, when found guilty by us, taking wanting to hand it over to the police, the person passed away. So it was the decision was, because there was no criminal case and there's nobody to stand a criminal case. The decision was to finalize the case, and that's it. But there would have been a recovery assessment. However, because of the passing away of the person found guilty, we could not proceed on that one. As for the other 2 adverse findings, and other 2, the Provincial Forensic Services found to be not to have no substance. In other words, that was turned down. That is in terms of the caseload. I think I've actually answered that one of Member Maseko as well. Chair, then we are at, and yes, perhaps just the recovery. Member Maseko asked about the recovery there. There would have been a recovery if there would have been somebody who could recover from. Then we're going to page 168 is my next question, and that is in terms of 13G. Now, section 30G is about the department's own status of BBBE. And at this moment, the department, and I don't think any department in the province at the moment has a BBBE status, because we could not really find somebody that want to audit us, because they're giving up any other audit status they might have, or independence. So this one is an ongoing thing that we actually work with the Treasury, but at this moment, this department does not have a BEE status level, so it's got nothing to do with the way we do business at the moment. That was what 13G specifically is about. Chair, then we get to page 176. And 176, the question was there, all the no's. Did we decide not to apply? Now, we need to look at these things individually. Determining qualification criteria for the issuing of licenses. This department does not issue licenses, so this is not applicable to us. So none of these is where the department decided not to apply. It was other things. It was other Treasury regulations, prescripts, etc., that made the response, and not that the department decided not to apply any of the principles that were asked. Chair, I can do that for all the individual questions or individual entities here, but that will be the response right through. Chair, I think I've covered all, except if there's somebody that really wants to know some more. Thank you, Chair. Oh, yeah, coming back to the qualification of the clean audit, as far as I'm concerned, we would have had a clean audit, if that's the question. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I'm sorry, I was a little bit distracted there when I was asking my question. I think from the CFO, what I wanted to find out is, and I do understand and take it of the nothing to recover answer to my question, but I just wanted to find out what method or policies in place to recover, if that can happen? Is there a proactive system in place to recover if there might be a corruption or something that could happen for you to lose the money? And Chair, am I allowed to ask another question? Or is just you were giving me a bite for just the follow-up?
Okay. Is it on section C?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to find out another one. It will be on page 162 on the pressure on domestic, the bullet point of the pressure on domestic availability of food and increased price of food. I think for the food security, one of the systems that are in place that the Department of Agriculture has championed is the use of the grant of the Lima Litsima. And that now being that you have to hand over that allocation, how are you mitigating that pressure? Because I know the communities out there, they are very much interested in the food gardens for their sustainability, for food security. And that now has deprived them to have that benefit, even though we are losing the jobs because of COVID-19. Is there a way that the department is going to counteract, to allocate something for the food security, for that expectations that have been raised within the community with the Lima Litsima, or that is going to be held back for this financial year until maybe the grant can be allocated again? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Ngonzo.
No, thank you, Chair. And I just worry that, this question of B gets to be made a political debate, in a SCOPA meeting where we must account on financial matters, how resources of the state as per prescripts are actually utilized, because I think that is the debate. And I agree fully with Minister that this is a political debate and this is not the platform. Similar to his quote of the Premier yesterday and what he has communicated in the public. I think as politicians, we need to learn to win battles and also to take battles where they matter in their respective platforms. Because here we are dealing with the monies of the state, which are not necessarily allocated according to how the DA wants, the ANC wants, the ACDP wants, but they are decided based on how the legislation of the country has dictated. So I'm taking, Chair, that at the current moment, there is a BBBE that is a legislation. And fortunately, we've got a democracy that allows us, if then there are elements of the legislation that we contest, that we go into a rigorous process of getting not one party's position, but of everybody who's a citizen's views on the matter so that there could be amendments. That's why we've got public hearings and all of these. So I want us to desist from really hamstringing the work of the state, by posturing our own political views, because what Minister is actually raising, and this is the question I still am asking the department to answer, because here you have a situation now that there is muddling of grounds between the state and the party. He makes a reference to a DA conference, a resolution. He makes a reference, to his party position, which I surely respect. And if I was interested on what the DA's dealings are about, I would actually, ask him on the side. That's not the point. I was asking that there is a current legislation called BBBE. And if indeed this provincial government says we are not implementing the BBBE, I just want that to be made clear. And if Minister and actually the HOD, based on that particular section that is in the annual report, this is what I'm asking, is that this particular department has made a decision not to apply, because that is what is in the question of that particular framework. They have made a decision not to apply the codes as it is requested based on those 5 measures. If that answer for me can be provided, and I'm very much in agreement with him, and I think even yesterday with SCOPA, we've agreed that we must take this as a discussion outside of the SCOPA process. But I think the most important thing that we have to answer now is adherence to this particular legislation, so that if there is none, we understand that this is the situation and the department is doing this. Like now we're dealing with the fact that the department, in terms of some of the prescripts, there is a tension between them and the Auditor General's office, to a point that the matter has been taken to court so that there's arbitration on correcting the application of the law. So I'm asking that question here. I'm not asking what's the DA position, because surely at this particular meeting, I will be really abusing taxpayers' money if I want to engage, on ideological position of my party versus the minister's party. So can I, Chair, once again, be answered by the department, by the minister? I understand minister is the politician. Maybe we must ask the bureaucrat. Can I be answered by the HOD or the minister? Once again, if the department, in as far as that section is concerned, on the 5 no's that are there in terms of those questions, mean that they are not applying those particular codes, in their work as their answer. Is that what it means? Thank you.
Which page is that, Honorable Ngondo?
Okay, let me.
1?
6-8. 6-8.
Okay. Now, Honorable Maran.
Chair, thanks. Chair, the minister indicated that he's going to leave at 9:30. I just want to, before I get to the issue, I just want to bring under the attention of the minister. Maybe he's already aware that there was an accident this morning in Klapmuts where almost 70 people were injured on a truck, when a truck was involved in an accident. I just want to bring that under the attention of the minister, if he's not aware of that particular incident that happened this morning. Chair, the minister is right, and maybe I have not elaborated more on this particular issue of the pressure on agricultural land. And the reason why I've mentioned the issue of LRED and those particular lands that's there is some pressure even on those particular land for developers. Chair, and if you've seen, for instance, especially in the Boland area, these new developments in your housing estates that's been built on agricultural land. And it's a responsibility, Chair, that lies with the Department of Environmental Affairs, Development and Planning. And if we're going to have a discussion around this particular issue, Chair, then we must include that particular department. We take a decision by saying that agricultural land, highly productive agricultural land, can be used for housing development, but even for golf estates and other usages. So I fully agree with the minister. We should have a discussion around that. But also, Chair, to prohibit those land to be used is for the department just to go and develop it. We must not allow a situation for land to be to lie vacant and for developers to come in and apply basically for other land users. I think it's a responsibility of the Department of Agriculture to make sure that we develop land and not basically create a vacuum for those guys to come in and apply for those land to be used for. Then, Chair, my question has not been asked, and it's the same, Chair, of what the Honourable Nkondlo asked.
Has it not been asked or has it not been answered?
Not really, Chair.
Okay. What was your
question? The question, Chair, on the issue of BEE and how it puts in the document, the department recognizes that the issue of BEE compliance and information is not resolved. Compliance, it's not resolved, Chair. And I have said, for instance, the discussions was there and the resolution that's taken by the party is, for instance, not to use that particular proxy anymore in going forward. I've heard the explanation from, but I've also said, but we are under but that's not under under this part of the discussion. It's not the year under review, because it seems, Chair, that the year under review, that, and it's clear in this document, there was no compliance. Whether the department under the year of review have used BEE or not. Because if we've also heard earlier in the first session that preference points was not allowed. And one would just assume that, okay, preferential points, when it comes to BEE, those points were not allocated and therefore the rightful service provider was not appointed. That's why I'm asking, Chair. They must just tell us yes or no. whether they have used triple BEE in this year under review or not. It's just a yes or no answer. They have not used it, and if not, why not?
Okay, thank you very much. I see now Honorable Mare, because I wanted to. Honorable Mare, is your hand up?
Yes, sir, it is
Or
up,
was it,
and it's
or
a
was
new.
it on section C?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to say that maybe we should be more objective and look at the Namibia empowerment policy. It's based on the individual, not on the individual's color. In other words, if a black millionaire applies because he wants land, he shouldn't get land because he's black. He should be refused land because he is empowered already. In other words, I believe BBE, and I agree with the minister, we should have a debate about this. We should Tokyo Sexuality and all the millionaires, should their children receive bursaries because they're black? Should they get preferential treatment because they're black? Or should a man get it because he is in need of it and he qualifies for it because of needs? I think we must move away from the racial tag, that just because you're black, you're entitled to things, and because you're white, you're entitled to nothing. And that debate we will have to carry into a political discussion.
Honorable Maran, let Honorable Mare finish. Let Honorable Mare finish.
No, but Chair, basically what the Honorable Mare is speaking about has nothing to do with the annual report. It's not there. We are speaking about a specific year.
Okay, let him finish, Honorable Member.
Honorable Maran, you know I have a great
Honorable Mare, don't respond to Honorable Maran. Just continue.
Okay. I think that the whole issue of BBBEE should be a discussion between political parties to assess the principle. What do we principally agree on? What does justice mean in terms of economic reform? Justice cannot mean the color of your skin. Justice should mean the need for empowerment. And I think that's a broader discussion, which I agree with Minister Meyer, we should air between the political parties as responsible politicians.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Maran. Now, let's do it like this, honorable members. Let's do it like this. Now, Honorable Maran, Honorable Mare, Honorable Nkondlo, and I think that also goes for you, Honorable Minister. You see, this so far as the committee on public account, we've been very successful in playing our role in a non-political and in a non-partisan manner. And I would like us, as the committee that is responsible for holding everybody in Parliament accountable, to continue in that line without being clouded by any party political issues. Otherwise, we are going to lose the focus of having to hold people accountable. So as I've indicated, that goes for all of you, honorable members, that please refrain from bringing unnecessarily political party issues on issues of accountability. Unfortunately, the issue of triple BEE, it's political in nature, whether we like it or don't like it. But I think while it's also political, it's very transversal. Now, maybe let's say we take the issue of the minister that he has raised, that he would like a political debate in the portfolio of agriculture. You might find that also in another portfolio, the issue is raised as well. So it might not only be confined in that, maybe as part of our resolution, because this issue of triple BEE, we are raising it with all the departments and it doesn't go away. Last year it was raised and is again being raised as well. we must maybe find a way of saying that there should be a platform where, because even if we take it to the Department of Agriculture, I promise you, Honorable Minister, it's not going to end there. It's going to crop up again. Maybe we should find, don't want to say a neutral venue or a neutral platform where we can say that this matter is being debated and is thrashed with, and obviously, it does not necessarily mean we might resolve it there, but at least we will have created a platform where everybody, they have raised their issues and maybe we can move. But really, I will not allow that we make the Standing Committee on Public Accounts to be a political parties scoring platform or a political party football. I'm not going to allow that. So far, we've been very successful as this committee in maintaining or in keeping to our responsibility that everybody who come to this committee, we will ask him question, even if it's awkward question. Now, sometimes it's difficult when it's senior members now who are starting to venture into issues of politics, you know. So I will really like to let us not be distracted into actually getting involved and bogged down into political issues rather than actually dealing with issues of accountability. So having said that, honorable members, now I want us to get the responses on the issues you have raised.
Okay. Chair, as you know, I have to leave soon, so I would very much like to respond to you, Chair.
Sorry, Honorable Minister, Honorable Nkondlo.
No, Chair.
You've got a burning issue.
Yes. I was just seeking clarity based on the comments that you have made. Are you ruling the question that I have placed as a political question so that I can withdraw it? Because I'm taking guidance from what you've just raised, because I was asking a question from the book. So I'm trying to check whether is order on that question now, so that I can withdraw the question then.
No. What I'm saying is that all of you honorable members refrain from arguing on your political party basis in a SCOPA meeting, you know, because otherwise it's going to detract the issue. As political as it might be, the issue of triple BE, I would like the department and the minister to answer on it.
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
But we are reading from the book. Let's refrain from actually making this a party political ideological issue in a SCOPA meeting.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think that gives quite a lot of clarity and focus and purpose, and I respect the ruling that you have made. I think that is very wise counseling for this committee. I do, however, think that there are, in every question that the members are asking, there are three dimensions. Every question has a political dimension, and you have now agreed that is something, and the members are agreed, that is something that we need to park for another day, as also Honourable Member Marais has agreed to, and Honourable Member Nkondlo, so let's park that for another day. The second dimension of any question is a normative dimension which relates to the policies of the government of the day, and for that I think certainly we need through executive statements we can respond to that in the House. And then there's a third dimension, and there I agree with all the members of the committee, that when you have a question of a technical dimension, and members are right, they're asking questions of technical application, and the department must answer that question in terms of the triple B, double E, because it has to do with the technical application through the office of the CFO. So I think we have now agreed the political dimension will go to another level, the normative dimension will go to another level, and the technical dimension needs to be here in this committee, since this is a technical application of the financial reporting. So I agree with that. So, and also because I have to leave now, Chair, I would like to respond to two other things. I want to thank Honourable Member Maran. Yes, it was brought under my attention that we have yet another tragic.
Honourable Minister, sorry, just before you may leave, can you also maybe, when you are concluding, look into, because I thought the issue I was going to ask you specifically directly as a political head of the department, the issue that has been coming on, the legal issue between the department and the Auditor General. Yeah. You don't think maybe there can be some intergovernmental resolution on the matter instead of actually resolving it through a court of law? That's just my question. It might be academic in nature, but I just feel that because we are going to leave, I was going to put it right at the end, but I thought that you are about to leave. Let me ask you that.
Yes. Firstly, thanks, Honourable Member Maran. I became aware of the another tragic accident there in the Drakensberg, and I want to ask maybe Honourable Member Maran, since you also brought another accident under my attention that happened there in the Dorans with people from Toes River. I am now really thinking through another committee, the Committee on Agriculture, we need to put that, and I'm going to ask Honourable Member Maran to put this item on the transportation of farm workers on the agenda of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, because I am seriously concerned about it. I have discussed this with the Minister of Transport and Public Works, Minister Bonkin Kosi Madigizela. We had a meeting about this, and it concerns us greatly in terms of the safety of our workers. This government adopted a policy now of human dignity, and I think the way people are being transported, whether it's construction workers or farm workers, standing next to each other like sardines in an open truck and with all these accidents, tells me that that is not a platform for respecting well-being and dignity, and it must become a subject matter for serious discussion. Minister Madigizela and I even want some further regulations, but I'd rather think let the Standing Committee inform us and have a discussion in that particular regard. Obviously, Chair, the issue of the case is currently within the Supreme Court of Appeal. There were some discussions. I'm still open because I believe in good intergovernmental relations. We have a good relationship with the Auditor General. There's no animosity. There's no, we're not angry for each other. We just understand that we've got different mandates. And certainly my HOD is always willing to engage with open discussions to see, is it possible to even settle outside the court, to find an agreement in the spirit of cooperative governance. This is a subject that I put straight in the hands of my HOD. If he is willing to engage with that, I will certainly not stand in his way. On that note, Chair, if I can be excused, but I will certainly try to check in again.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister.
And I must say, I'm deeply thankful for the leadership, not only for the committee, but also for me, that you now provided through your comments.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Now, honourable members, I take it we finished section C. I want us to move to section E now. Any issues? I see Honourable America's hand is up.
Chair.
Honourable Maran's hand is up.
No, Chair, can I quickly ask you something?
Yes, yes.
Chair, I want to be excused from the meeting because I had to rush to Klapmuts, Chair.
No,
to
okay.
that accident because they are still busy on the scene.
No, we understand and we accept that, Honourable Honourable Maran.
Thanks.
No,
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Sure. Now, Honourable America, I take it your question is on E, section E. Ne?
That's correct, Chair. Thank you so much. I just have one question, Chair, and that relates to the transfer payments from the department to CASIDRA. In the financial statements of the department, it is stated that an amount in Annexure D of the department's financial statements, and it is also incorporated in note 7 of that financial statement, and is reflected in the sort of income statement as well. That an amount of 206.907, let me repeat, an amount of 206,907,000 79,000 Rand was transferred to CASIDRA as a transfer payment. But nowhere in the financial records as presented in CASIDRA's books does that amount being reflected. Now, I don't know if I'm missing something, that is not an account for how that 207 million Rand was spent or applied. Perhaps, I can get clarity to that I need to see how that particular transfer payment was accounted for. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable America, which page is that issue you are raising? Or is it just a general? Do you?
Sorry, Chair. Let me just the statement of the financial performance is on page 273, but that's the transfer and subsidies, note 7. It's 314.658 million Rand, but it includes other subsidies as well. But if you go to Annexure 7, Annexure 1D of the financial statements, there, you can get the amount that was transferred to CASIDRA, which is 206.979 million Rand. But if you go to the financial records of CASIDRA, you don't see anywhere that receipt was accounted for. So my question is, how are we able to verify that particular sort of transfer that was done was properly accounted for? Maybe I'm missing something.
No. I got your point. Because why I was actually specifically wanting to, because it seems to be almost related now to the point that was raised in the response by the Auditor General in the beginning. So it just kind of talked to, but they will respond. The department will respond. Yeah.
Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Maseko.
Thank you, Chair. On CASIDRA page 56 and 57, I just want to find out, maybe if you can get the clarity from CASIDRA. Number 17 on page 56. It says the Auditor General, on the Auditor General's report, it says the achievement of 50 projects implemented from previous financial years was reported against a target of 36. However, the supporting evidence did not agree with the reported achievement indicated 43 projects implemented. If you can get that clarity, why the discrepancy? And again, on the internal control deficiencies, also 30, 31, and 32 from the Auditor General, if CASIDRA can say to us that why, especially on the number 31, that they were, the annual performance report contained misstatements that were not corrected, why they were not corrected. And if I can also find out if the audit committee is here, because they indicated that there is a tender that was given for the internal audit to comply. If we can find out that, why should we have something like this report from the AG while there is another service provider that was introduced within the CASIDRA to make sure that everything gets to be implemented correctly? Just clarity on those ones, Chair. I will appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Honorable Member. Department, can we have a department as well? There's also a question that is related to, that has been directed to the audit committee, but let's start with the department. in CASIDRA, both the department and CASIDRA, because the issue that was raised by Honorable America, I take it cuts across both between the department and as well as CASIDRA.
Chair, thank you very much for the question. I'm going to ask my CFO to respond to that. CFO?
Chair, thank you. The transfer payments, let me start off by saying that we both have the same auditor, which is the Auditor General. Now, the transfer payments are actually audited individually. So the numbers that you will see in our books are right, and I'm quite sure that the numbers you will see in CASIDRA's books are right, as confirmed by the AG. However, the big difference is that that's the one that one can't reconcile just by looking at all of them. And that is because CASIDRA is working on an accrual accounting system, whilst the department is working on a modified cash basis. In both cases, they are prescribed. So you actually need to make a reconciliation of some sort to see that movement. And Chair, that is the best I can actually explain it. All I can say is both numbers on both sides were actually audited by the Auditor General individually, and I can assure you they are correct. The reconciliatory exercise might be a bit more challenging. Thank you, Chair.
No, just maybe before I might allow other members to, or other members of your department to add, or CASIDRA to add, is it normal, CFO, that when there's an amount like Honorable America is raised, that when there's an amount that has been transferred, which is, I think he said it's an amount, is it 206, Honorable America, million?
Close to 207 million, Chair.
Yes, yeah. Now, is it normal for it not to be seen anywhere, not be reported to anywhere in the books? I'm not an accounting or a financial person, but I just want to ask that, is that normal?
Well, Chair, it is being reported in the statements. That's why it's standing here. It is in the note 7.
America is asking the details. What has it been spent on?
Well, the details are Chair. Obviously, that well, because then we have, if you go into the details, because this is not just one transfer. This is a combination of many memoranda of agreement, and each one of them has a number. Some of them are 2 million, some of them are 20 million. So so those kind of details is at this moment not required from us to put in a AFS. I suppose for the simple reason because then the AFS is going to become so bulky that nobody can understand it. However, if the Auditor General goes to the documentation of origin, that actually decide that where they audit that against what is in the statements. So Chair, if somebody would like to acquaint themselves with the detail, obviously we must provide that detail. So if you want us to make you a list, yes. But at the moment, the prescripts of the AFS and from Treasury, National Treasury does not require that kind of detail to be put into the Chair. I hope that suffices. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable America?
Chair, what I'm saying is that if you look at the income statement of CASIDRA, you only see a transfer receipt from the Agricultural Department of 27 million rand. So nowhere in the financial does it indicate that, or perhaps the summary exists and the reconciliation is there, but it need to be provided so that we could see the movement of funds, and that's at the heart of accountability. In terms of, we can't transfer a total amount of close to 207 million rand, and somewhere there's a reconciliation that speaks to it, but we don't see it. That's the difficulty I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I see there is Mr. Van Zyl who wants to come in.
Chair, thank you. If you go to CASIDRA's annual report on page 86, there's a total 2/3 from the top, or a third from the top, 196,415,206. That is the amount that we received, and you must add that to the total on page on page 61. There's another total 27.178 million. Now, why do we split it in two? The one is direct funding for CASIDRA, and the other one is the funds for the project implementation. So in this, on page 86, you can see it's actually over 3 pages for the various projects, that the funds that was received everything is in detail is listed there. Maybe this will answer Honorable America's question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Van Zyl. I don't know if the question that was asked by Honorable Maseko been answered. He was referring to page 55 to page 57. He wanted clarity on that, and there was the issue of the internal control, as well as the issue of the tender. Something to do with the tender. I don't think those questions have been answered.
Chair, yes. Unfortunately, that is the manager responsible for this program resigned, and I'm really not hiding behind him. But that is unfortunately so. That was reported. He did not change the figures, his final figures in the file, and it obviously did not agree with the Auditor General. Following after the audit had been concluded and the reports had been signed, we had a meeting with the Auditor General to see how we can step up on things like this not to happen. So this is, to be quite honest, putting a bit of egg on our faces on this side. So we are really paying attention to that to prevent these things from happening. Unfortunately, sometimes things go wrong, even if you do follow a solid process. It can happen that, and I don't have the exact details of why, for instance, the triple PFA thing did not was followed to the T, and we are doing investigations in this regard, and we are putting corrective measures in place as far as we can going forward then.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Zyl. Honorable Maseko.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to find out the page 56 of the CASIDRA. Maybe I didn't hear the response that why would the CASIDRA report that it has achieved 50 and against a target of 36, but the AG gets 43 projects. So I'm trying to understand where is the loophole of not reporting, or the AG not finding the same number that the CASIDRA is reporting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Maseko. Honorable Nkondlo. Oh, I thought the Honorable Nkondlo was asking a question.
Apologies, Chair. I think I didn't unmute myself.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Thank you. On page 273, Chair, I just wanted to get some sense of the department on the Litsima program, the underspending that actually led to almost about 2 million having to be redirected for PPE. For I think to give to the industry. One, my interest is what were some of the projects or initiatives that could not be delivered. Why that money ended up being unspent, if that clarity can be provided. And in terms of the PPE itself, how many farmers could then be assisted through that 2 million PPE that was provided. I think it's on page 272, 273. And then in terms of 302, Chair, in the contingent assets, I just want to understand, I think the situation that is written there, if more information can just be clarified about, I think almost about 200,000 that had to be paid to SARS because of some, I'm not sure whether it's failure from the department in terms of, paying some of the taxes. Is there challenges in terms of the tax system of the department and why this particular occurrence, or it is just a once-off thing? And then also in 304, the issue of the student fees, because it's mentioned there that it was a situation of fees must fall. I just don't understand. Perhaps more information can be explained about that. And I think also there's a mention of also outstanding debt of private tenants. If more information can be provided of that particular situation and what mitigation is being put by the department in that regard. And then the last one, Chair, is on page 307, 307 to 308, which is about the irregular and fruitless expenditure. Just want to understand this thing of the flights, because it seems there is this irregular expenditure is because of a situation of flights, if also that could be explained, and where is the case as this irregular expenditure, where is it as we speak? Because I see it has not, part of it has not been condoned. So if maybe more information can be provided about the status of this, including, I think, the amount of the wasteful and fruitful expenditure under 25.1. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Honorable Ngondlo. Can we get the responses, the department and CASIDRA? I see just before the responses, I see Honorable America, because I just want us to deal with questions and finish so that we can get responses. Let's first give Honorable America.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I take note of the response of Mr. Van Zyl. And I think that if I look at the summary of the implemented projects, for us to have a better understanding, because we're all not chartered accountants or financial managers, perhaps it would be sort of perhaps better, because there are other funding sources also that flows into the implementation of projects. If for us to make an easy comparison in terms of reconciling the amounts transferred from the department and from different sources, perhaps, one could have a different reconciliation just to deal with that. Perhaps it will make our task for interpretation purposes and understanding the flow of funds so much easier. That's just a comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Department. Just Honorable Nkondlo, is your hand up or was it the previous hand? I think it's the previous hand. Okay, Department.
Chair, thank you very much. I will respond to the question on 273, and I'll hand over the other questions to my CFO. The 2 million that could not be spent was an allocation that came to us with a tag from National, and the tag was that we needed to transfer that fund to the ARC, but then it was very difficult for us to do so because the agreement that we needed to base that transfer for was not between us and the ARC. It was with the National Agriculture and ARC. And I think towards the end of the financial year, we were then advised that that transfer was not necessary. And of course, it was late for us to be able to spend it on anything, because to start with was an allocation that was meant for the ARC, and it was then were then allowed to utilize it for the PPEs. And the question is how many and where? It's about 100,000 masks that we bought for the farm workers across the whole province. So that is basically what had happened. If the question is about what projects had suffered, there was no project that was planned by ourselves in terms of that 2041 million. It was fund that National wanted us to transfer, but we couldn't based on the governance challenges. I'm going to hand over to the CFO to respond to the issue around SARS, the fees must fall, and the irregular and fruitless expenditure. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, thank you. SARS, shall we, the issue, I think we try to explain it there, but what SARS does, and they do it with all departments and businesses, they can call out audits. So they came in, I referred earlier to, we have Valderij, which is a hamlet just next to the department, where some of our people live. And some people also use the department as an address for their post. So SARS made a decision that if somebody has an address here that they did benefit from some kind of cheap housing, which in this case was not the case. So, but according to the rules and according to actually the constitutional court decision or judgment, SARS, you've got to pay them first and then you can argue with them. So we argued with them, and this is the one that we believe they should pay us back. That is why it's put here, Chair. So that is the SARS one. And the bottom of that same page, no, it's the bottom of page 3 of 4. The bad debt, yeah, and where the fees must fall. If you do our bad debt and check our bad debt, most of it is because of students not paying under the auspices of fees must fall. We've had that problem since I think 15, 16 already. And we really have a challenge there, and that's it. With outstanding water usage accounts, again referring to the houses like Valderij and other houses at some of our other farms, we have sometimes challenges of people renting their houses that they don't pay their accounts, and that is exactly what happened here, because they get their water from the department, so they need to pay the department for the water. Chair, so that is as far as that is concerned. With the irregular and specifically the flights, Chair, the prescripts were rather challenging, and so we picked up, and it is small amounts. It's amounts that range between 50 Rand and 250 to say 300 Rand per individual case. Is that the prescript says you must take the cheapest flight of the day. That was now in the days when it could still fly, which was this year. And your problem is, if you sometimes do take the cheapest flight of the day, that means you will be late for your meeting. So then you cannot take the cheapest flight of the day, and then that becomes an irregular argument. So, Chair, we are at the moment, we are busy finalizing that, because the prescripts actually changed twice over that period. And it is rather challenging, but at this moment we are doing it where we need to actually recover funds. We also will do that. Chair, I think those are my questions, except if there are more that I missed perhaps.
Chair, that's all from our side.
Chair, you are on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much, CFO and HOD. Honorable members, if there are no further questions.
Questions, Chair.
Honorable Maseko?
Yeah, Chair, I did do a follow-up and I was waiting to hear. I wonder if CASIDRA responded to it.
Okay. Before I give Honorable America, CASIDRA.
Chair, yes, I think that's the question on page 56 regarding the achievement of 50 projects. Now, sometimes I present something that I thought or that manager thought was auditable evidence. And then the Auditor General can say, but I do not consider that as evidence. One instance is, for instance, if I give you a list of people who attended a meeting, but there's no signatures on it. I thought maybe just a name, a list of names will suffice. And then the Auditor General can come in and say, but no, it should actually have been a proper attendance register. So these things happen, and then they, for instance, will not count in those numbers. So therefore, after the audit, I said we had a meeting with the Auditor General, and from our side, we will step up now on the audit evidence to make sure that it is acceptable for the Auditor General.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Zyl. Honorable America.
Thank you, Chair. Just a last question for clarity on that, the matter I raised earlier, is that the transfer payments, just for clarity purposes, I could just wrap it around my head in terms of my interpretation. The transfer payments must be accompanied with a business plan, and therefore it is not recognized as revenue for CASIDRA. Maybe I can just get clarity on that, Chair, please.
Mr. Van Zyl.
Chair, thank you. Again, I say we received two kinds of transfers. You can categorize them. The one is directly to fund CASIDRA, and that one is the figure that I said was reported in the income statement on page 61. Now, again, there was also a change in accounting frameworks. Previously, I included the whole amount received from everybody, and I had it on the face of that statement. Unfortunately, I was even contacted by someone from the Accounting Standard Board, saying that what I do is actually not GAAP or in those days IFRS, and nowadays GRAP. I'm not allowed in terms of the reporting standard to include all of those on the face of the income statement. So therefore, we've moved the funding not directly for CASIDRA, and we are now disclosing it in the annexure. And Honorable America is quite correct. There are also funding from other departments and can be from municipalities or other entities. We grouped it, and at the bottom of page 87, you will see that we've got a total of all the funds that was received. And yes, you are quite right. All these funds do come with an agreement as to what we must do with it. So we separate the CASIDRA funding from the project funding, and we disclose them separately. And you are quite right. I will look into it as to, because there will also be a difference on the amount that the department reported. For instance, say that the department put the amount through in their books in the last week in March. I only received those funds in April. I cannot account for it. I do it the moment I pick it up on my bank account. So there are definitely reconciling items. If I just add the two amounts together that CASIDRA reported for this financial year, it is 223 million. Mr. America picked up that the transfer to CASIDRA was around 207 million. And that is because of funds either received or paid in the previous financial year or in this financial year. I will see in the next set of financials how we can at least include some kind of a recount to give you those details.
Thank you, Chair. It's adequately explained. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Honorable America. Now, honorable members, I'm sure we were all kind of exhausted. Most of our questions, we are now nearing to the conclusion of our meeting. But just based on the issues that have been raised here, and especially we know last year we dealt with this thing of the department as well as CASIDRA, the state of the audit opinion that is adverse or that is actually a qualified audit or a disclaimer. Now, I did ask pointedly to the minister because I think sometimes some of the issues, in spite of there being rules and regulations governing them, sometimes can also be better dealt with by through discussion and negotiations with each other. And as I was asking the minister, is there no way some of these things can be resolved through intergovernmental relations? Because it looks like it's persistent all the time. We are always confronted with this, and it's basically based on the rules. And the way I've actually picked up is really basically the rules that are being used by the Auditor General versus the rules that are also used by CASIDRA, especially in their financial system. One is, I think it might be versus the accrual system as versus the modified system. But in spite of that, I wanted to check maybe from the Auditor General, is there no way this matter, I know it's in the court of law, that it can be resolved? What is the Auditor General's take on the matter being resolved through intergovernmental means? AG.
Thank you, Chairperson, through you. I have noted the comments given by the Minister in terms of engaging with the HOD. So definitely, Chairperson, we will basically look from our side to pursue that route, to have further conversations with the HOD on the matter, and then take it from there, Chair.
Now, just while we are on that, is it still the part of the reason is because of the system that are being used by the department versus the system that is used by CASIDRA? Is that still the gist of the reason why there is this persistent adverse finding?
Chair, thank you so much. If you will allow me, I think from our side the key issue is the transfer payment, which is a one-line item that is made to CASIDRA. When you go to CASIDRA books, nowhere in the position statement, a performance statement that is indicated. Furthermore, in terms of the notice disclosed, it's done per project. So you can't see what money went for salaries and wages, what was actually for improvement of assets, what was for computers that were bought. So that project line item just indicate it was for this project, but the detail is not there to say it went specifically for this, and this is how this expenditure is made up. And I think, Chair, this is the crux of the issue. And I think from CASIDRA's side, the way they are counting, they're basically indicating their agency function. And that is how the accounting is basically done. So somehow, somewhere, this information should be disclosed for transparency purpose. And I think that is the crux of the issue from our side.
I think just lastly, it might also be related to the issue that was raised by Honorable America, where there's an amount that has been transferred, but that amount is not shown what has it actually been used for. Is there a relation in that?
That's 100% correct, Chairperson.
Okay. No, it's just that I was just amazed or impressed that Honorable America just picked that up. You know, I knew you've mentioned it in your introductory remarks when we were asking about it, but then it was just also interesting that Honorable America also just picked that up. Honorable Maseko?
Thank you very much, Chair. Just it will be unfair of my soul not to mention this again for this financial year. The macro-organizational structure of CASIDRA is really not impressive. Again, I will say this every financial year as long as I'm in Scopa or I'm in agriculture. We have only one female in board of directors, and total is 9. We have only one female in the total of 8 management team. Seriously, there must be women that are interested in agriculture. So I would want to hear from the CASIDRA, is there any contingency plans in place to, when we have someone that is going to go out or retire, that we can try to have women also to have a voice around the table of CASIDRA, or it's only men that are allowed there? What is happening that we are not getting that correct? Another one, it will be just a remark to CASIDRA. And I hear that they say, no, in future they will correct. But there's some the issues that goes as the procurement and contract management, that you see that no, there is a regulation that was not followed. It's not something that really we want to see happening in CASIDRA, especially for the department entity that in the past has performed so well that now it seems like it's deteriorating with the audit outcome that is being presented in front of us. So can we really say, CASIDRA, try to really make sure you implement what you're supposed to implement? Everything that you do is according to the legislation or policy or regulation that is in place. Because of, it cannot be we sit to talk about things that we know you are championing. We are just doing an oversight, and CASIDRA is entrusted to do the right thing with the money that it gets allocated to them. They are implementing agents, they are giving the service, let the processes that are there enabling them to do that be according to the book. That's all from myself, Chair. If I can hear about this gender equality, if it will ever happen in CASIDRA, I'll appreciate that, or equality, or whatever they can call it, as long as there are women around the table that will talk about food security, that will be great from my side.
Thank you very much, Honorable Maseko. CASIDRA.
Good morning, Chairperson. This is the Chair of the Board. I would like to respond if you would allow me.
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, the Honourable Member is certainly correct in pointing this issue out. This is a key matter. This is a key matter that is being debated at the board level as well. And Chairperson, maybe just a few remarks in this regard. The issue of gender representativity has certainly been exacerbated over the last 2 reporting cycles, Chairperson. If we look at page 39, you will see that Ms. Z.T. Nakadin resigned at the end or in August 2019. She was a female board member, and then in the previous cycle we had another female board member resigning as well. So this is certainly a major issue for the board of CASIDRA. The board has instructed the company secretary to start with the process to go and explore the relevant and suitable candidates to be considered for positions on the board. Certainly, Chairperson, when we go through such a process, we look at a number of things, which would include gender representativity. It would also include skill set and the strategic fit at board level to ensure that each member that is appointed to the CASIDRA board is able to make a contribution in the interest of the organization. And Chairperson, if you would allow me, I can just very quickly respond. Some of our findings, our key experiences over the last 2 reporting cycles, which the company secretary has provided feedback on to the board. The first is that there is, we have seen interest from, a large group of people to become board members at CASIDRA, but it does appear that owing to the relatively low board fees owing to the relatively low remuneration compared to perhaps other institutions, that the interest from such people then disappears. That is the first issue. The second issue is that we have seen in the past that we have also significant interest from people outside the province of the Western Cape to become board members. Surely we are not necessarily averse to such an arrangement, but we have to be mindful of potential costs, and in particular traveling costs, to bring such potential new board to bring such potential new board members from elsewhere in the country to PAL, to CASIDRA's head office, where we conduct our board meetings. That was in the past, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moss. Now, honorable members, I think if there are no further questions, that means we've kind of exhausted all the questions that we needed to raise to the department, as well as to the audit committee and the auditor general. I just want to check whether is the minister back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, is are they maybe okay? HOD.
Yes.
HOD.
I am
just
back.
before you, minister. Just before
Okay.
you, minister. HOD.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here, Chairperson.
Okay. So, just want to, okay. Audit committee, are there any issues that you'd like to raise, maybe, or as we are about to conclude both audit committees, are there any comments you'd like to make?
There's nothing from my side, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roda.
Chair, nothing further from my side as well. Thank you.
AG.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing further from my side. Thanks.
HOD.
Nothing from our side, Chair, except to thank you and the members for allowing us, giving us the opportunity to account, and thank you again for all the support.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you for allowing me to exit the meeting and return to the meeting. I really appreciate this opportunity. Chair, there was a number of issues that was discussed here during the meeting. As our practice is that we will normally await for the minutes of the SCOPA, and once we receive the minutes of SCOPA and the resolutions, we will certainly discuss it as the management together with the minister as the executing authority, and so to see that which of those, not which, all of those resolutions that must be implemented by the department. And I would really like to thank you for the spirit in which this meeting was conducted, because I do think in the spirit, in the context of accountability, we must not always try to come here to defend, but to answer those questions. And some of those questions were answered, and certainly we can further engage if there are any further matters that you need, you feel that we have not adequately answered. We're quite happy for that. We have also noted the issues that you raised in the context of CASIDRA. We will certainly engage and continue and keep the lines of communication open. I have also met yesterday with the chairperson of the board of CASIDRA, and we have discussed a number of those issues. And certainly once the SCOPA resolutions are out, we will certainly also put it before the next board meeting of CASIDRA so that we can also engage with that. Also, the issue that you have raised with in terms of the context of cooperative governance, my HOD and the Auditor General will always keep those lines of communication open. And I want to thank the AG also for the spirit of cooperative governance. And I want to thank her for also always engage in a positive and a constructive manner. I want to thank the CFO of both CASIDRA and the CFO of the Department of Agriculture, because this year under review was extremely difficult. And I want to thank the opportunity to present our views here before the Standing Committee of Public Accounts. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, with those closing remarks, and also from our side, on behalf of the committee and the other members of the legislature who has attended the meeting, we'd like to thank you and your department together with that is led by the HOD, and also all the other people that have been part of assisting in making sure that you are actually able to answer some of the questions that we've asked here. That goes the same. I also would like to thank the audit committees that are also an integral part of this role of accountability, as well as the Auditor General, which I always refer to as our dependable ally in this drive that we are in of wanting to hold members of the legislature and members of the executive accountable. So thank you very much for they are always available, and also their assistance that they are giving. It's just a bit concerning that what is interesting is that most of the department that we are receiving so far, they all have a clean audit. Now, when it comes to this one, there is this adverse finding. So it kind of obviously changed the nature of the discussion. And then also, I think as the Standing Committee on Public Account, will also be failing on our duties not to raise the issues. Sometimes, as uncomfortable as they are, I don't think they are meant to catch you out as the department and as the minister, and even as audit committees and auditor general. We are just doing and actually embarking on our responsibility. We'll be failing on our duties if we don't try and make an intervention. Hence, I was raising the issue that if an issue like this, in the spirit of cooperative governance, can't it be resolved through intergovernmental relations? Of course, that's another angle that is always available in trying to resolve issues. So I'm happy that you have taken note of that, and I've also raised the same question to the Auditor General as well. They have also taken note of that. So with all that, thank you very much, Minister, and thank you very much to the department. We will now going to continue with the business of the committee. So we will excuse you so that we can be able to continue with our business. We'll excuse the department as well as the audit committees and the Auditor General and the members of the committees, if they may please remain behind so that we can finish the business of the committee.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, HOD.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, AG. There we are, members. Seen the number drastically reducing from 34 to now 13. So that means we are. Now, honorable members, without us wasting time, as I've indicated, that is actually a different engagement compared to other engagement that we are having with other departments. And then at the same time, it is also deprived Honorable America of his usual comment that he normally makes when it comes to this department. That's just on a lighter note. Are there any resolution honorable members would like to make? I see Honorable America. I see Honorable Maseko, Honorable Nkondlo. Let's do it in that line format. Honorable America.
Thank you, Chair. Your remark with regard reconciliation of the transfers from and subsidies from the departments, one, and secondly, a reconciliation of the receipts from outside, you know,
you.